So it's gonna be like a live recording. So for today's tip, so with this series, I'm just gonna have like short tips on small parts basically of Flutter, where you'd be like, okay, what's going on here? Stuff where you like maybe have your app running or have your site running, and then you're wondering what's going on. So we all know what Flutter is basically and what you're able to create with Flutter. So assuming that you already know, so if you don't know, there should be like some documentation for you to find out what that is. So right now we're going to be starting with this one, right? Okay, so I have a Flutter app already running, already created. So if you don't have one, you just on Android Studio, you say new, and then you select your Flutter, basically where it sits, basically your SDK, and then you just have the name. So mine, I have it as tips now, and the tips, and then I just changed that part there, Flutter tips, and then I removed all the other systems, basically platforms. So since I removed all the other platforms except for web, okay, so we have web, and then I kept these basically at Kotlin and Swift. So then you create, that's the base that I have here, which is already running, the default Flutter project. So we're just going to execute it. So today the demonstration is on what you call this runtime types. So runtime types is basically data types of your variables in Flutter. So it could be a variable that holds maybe I don't know, it holds a string. Basically it's a string variable, it's a integer variable, it's a boolean, or even like a function. You can get data type from them, you can get map, you can get even I believe a class. So it can give you that the data type is class, so the data type of everything that is here. So the issue that I ran into for me to demonstrate this was that after hosting, the runtime type was giving me an issue. So I had a space where I was trying to test a list, right? So I'm trying to test this list to say, okay, if the data type is a list, don't show it. If show it if it's a boolean, do show it, right? So this would be dynamic data types that you are able to change on the go, that you like, okay, it could be either or, right? So we have the default one running. Okay, we're just gonna latch on to this one. We want to print the number still, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything that is here, default comments, right? Just so we don't have much going on. I'm not going to add a lot, just one data type control thing basically, and then it will control whether we print that or not, right? This must be all be visual inside something that is hosted, so we're just going to host this after that. It has debug mode at the moment, or it updates right away because it has that enabled. So right now I'll put this on the side. So we have the default one, there it is. So nothing much going on there now anymore, so it just increments using this over here, right? The increment is that part, right? This function over here. So we're just going to control the data type, and then we see if this data type is this, increment, if not, don't increment. So what we can do is we can maybe not the best of practices, but we can just convert this one into a row, right? Just going to convert into a row, and then has live update, so it should tell us if something's going wrong. Okay, let's see. Does it agree to have a row? Okay, it agrees to have a row. Let me just make that smaller over there. Okay, then getting smaller. We'll just make this guy smaller. Okay, so it does agree to have a row. Because now it's acting up, it's hidden there, and all that stuff. We'll just expand them inside the row. Maybe we'll have to specify the row height, right? Then we're creating that, just laziness, and then we just have those two sitting there. Then we reload, check, okay, they expanded, but the row is still going way above what we expected. So we're gonna just remove the expansion, and then maybe we're just gonna center them, and then we're gonna go cross. Okay, we're gonna align, I guess, to the center so that we have them visible at all times. Let's cross, let's go main. Okay, let's see what main gives us. Caps main dot center as well. Okay, we're trying to just have them in the center there. Let's see. The guy agrees. Okay, so it's centering them in the center. Let's just put them inside a stack, maybe. Let's give it a height. Maybe that will help us. Give it a height of 75. 75. Okay. Maybe we'll fast track through this space. Okay, so now yes, we have our two buttons. They both work. Okay, so should we press this one, we want to sort of deactivate or change some data type so that the scroll and the increment doesn't happen because of the data type, right? So let's go up to that guy. We're gonna give this on press. What we want to do is we want to return as a function, okay, as well. But I want to let's have two of them instead of manipulating the one. We'll have two of them. We'll have on press 2. Just name it like that. On press 1 and on press 2. Then we'll name this one on press 2. Okay, and then what we're looking for the data type, right? So when I introduce a new variable right there, we're gonna make it dynamic. Okay, we're gonna say we're gonna call it changing. We're gonna make it equal to, at first we're gonna make it equal to true, right? So this data type should be Boolean. Okay, so we want to also print that data type so that you are able, so it does set the entire state. We want to print that data type. We're gonna have it here so that you're able to see what's going on even when we host it live, right? Okay, almost 8, so we're gonna just say run time. Time. I just call it run. Okay. Okay, let's see, did I copy that one? Nope. I'm just gonna make sure it's not constant, and then we have that over there. Okay, I guess I don't need the braces because it's just one of these, right? So it doesn't complain as much. Okay, so no complaints so far, and then we're good. So should we run that, we might get a now, depending on whether it's a true. No? Okay, I got a true. So now I want if I want the runtime type here, that's what I want to check at the value itself, and then I want to check the runtime type. Okay, value, then this one I want to put braces because I want okay, runtime type. Okay, so you would be able to use this to check if this is Boolean, I want to do ABC, so it helps, I guess, for data control when you're validating and all these things. So I have it there and there. Let's give it padding. Okay, it's not about that, but let's just give it padding so that everything is sitting on its own and it's clear enough what we're trying to do. Okay, maybe it's complained about some consistency. Constant. Okay, let's try it again. No complaint anywhere. It climbs on both cases. Okay, we have Boolean. The runtime type is Boolean. Okay, so let's change that runtime type to something else. and then let's change a value to something else so that the runtime type will change on its own to something else on a button press, right? So we want to change it on increment 2. We can just rename increment 2 as something else. I guess we can just say type changer. Okay, so it changes it here and it changes it where I'm using it. Okay, that's when you press Shift F6, it will help you just to change it across throughout your app. Okay, that variable. So after I've changed it, I'm just gonna now take that and say let's set state still and say if we're looking for the runtime type, right? If runtime type equals bool, it's bool, right? We want to say changing equals to a string. When I say what's your name, that's what we're going to do. Okay, close it off. Okay, so now when we change it, so else changing equals true, right? So if changing equals true, then it means it's the runtime type is not a string anymore. Okay, still hover and says increment. So the hover on that, we're gonna just say call it change. Just gonna call it change. Okay, so change and increment. Okay, there's increment, there's change. Okay, so what's your name? Runtime type is string. Change again, true, boolean, right? Change, runtime type is string. So we can also control this one only if runtime type equals boolean, right? So let's control that. So now if runtime type equals boolean, do increment. Simple enough, right? Okay, so now if runtime type is boolean, it will increment. If not, it won't increment. Okay, it will just stand still. So now let's say now you have something condition like this where you want to increment only if the runtime type of your whatever variable you have is a boolean, right? So it works just fine. However, it works with certain things. So now I only noticed it when it was list, so we're gonna host it and then check if it actually does the same thing. Let's hope it's gonna be fast. I had already plugged this in here. Okay, I'm just gonna build. Okay, I'm just gonna build it, and just waiting for this to catch on, and then it should be done. Okay, that was a long while for building something so small. 72 seconds. I think the fan is hot and all Windows stuff. So Firebase, let's deploy. Let's see if it responds, right? Okay, that's deployed. Okay, so it's up there. Just gonna bring it back. I'm just gonna bring it back down here. So this one's on an HTTPS. So this one's the one that's live. Let's put it there, and then it switches perfectly. Okay, so nothing wrong, right? So it works just fine as well as that one. Up until we then switch this out to say, okay, we said if it's equals to boolean, right? We run this now. Okay, now we're gonna switch it around first. Okay, and then for this one as well, we want an else just to simulate what the error was having was. So if it's not boolean, it's not boolean, true. Okay, if changing runtime type is not boolean, change this to true, and then this will become boolean, then it will work, right? So what I had was if it's well, not boolean, I think it was list. Okay, so let's equal to list. Okay, let's see if it's equal to list, right? Do nothing but increment, otherwise that will be boolean, otherwise change it to boolean, right? So now if it's equal to list, so now it means we have to change this to a list, right? List with one item inside. Then we test it. Okay, so now it's a list. Okay, okay, so it's a list of string. When I switch back, because now if I press it again, change, right? And I said if it's equal to list, it must become true. So now list is something else. Okay, so let's say list and specify exactly the string. If it's equal to list string. Okay, let's see now how that behaves. So it's behaves just fine, this string. Okay, then here's the issue we got. Okay, so all that works okay. Let's deploy it again and then see that if it responds properly when we're looking for list string. Bring it in. Okay, and then we're just gonna make it smaller so it fits here. Okay, so there we are. See the issue there? Mini field W. So now I can do that, but I can never switch back. Yes, so now I can do that, I can never switch back, but on this side it switches, that's fine. When I'm demoing, it switches, that's fine, and the IDE is the same. Not the IDE, the browser is the same. Okay, so switches just fine. It's good when your point is proven properly. So it does look like crazy. Okay, so works just fine. I can increment and then close it off, and then I can't increment. Okay, I didn't do that. I guess there it's working either way, but either way, okay, either way it's incrementing, but this guy is not switching, right? To do that better, because this guy is incrementing either way, because I guess this is not equal to this. Makes sense, it's never equal to that. But had I made it like completed that side, then at least the local one would work. At least the local one would work, right? It's able to close off. Okay, the local one works, but then either way, if I take the time to host it, I'm just gonna build again and host it. But otherwise, we see what the issue is though, because of using visuals. Okay, so visually, so this is the one that is actually running on HTTP, it's online, HTTPS. This one is just HTTP local. Okay, it won't change. That still changes whether we had plugged it into the increment or not. We're still going to change, we have to control our app properly. But this one, mini field W string. So then maybe if the web is this, then there's someone who's got more tips on how to solve this issue, right? I'm just gonna take a snapshot of this thing as well so that I remember what it is, because I don't have copy here. Do I have copy? Yeah, I don't have it. Okay, let's just do that, and then yeah, I'm gonna take that. So yes, so how then do you solve this? Okay, I'll just host it again. Okay, then so when it's hosted, it will be able to lock, but it won't be able to run. So then now you want to control this runtimeType business. Option 1, we'll find someone who's going to help us who can control that it always, instead of telling us about this mini field, right, string, it gives us our list string, right? Or you avoid it entirely. Avoid using runtime types as checkers, right? Because you will get issues. The one that is always true is bool, and I think string, because you saw when we were using string alone it worked. So then instead of looking for this condition, looking for if it's list, like especially where it's one, what you call, where it's one, I would call, I think maybe it fails mainly on lists. I haven't tested it on any other value. Maybe map it might fail as well, I don't know. But I've only tested on a list, so this tip was based on basically, I guess, a list so far. You could test it on more stuff and see if it gives the same problem. But then instead of using this one, this condition, then you could go back to the initial condition. It means though only if you have an alternative to the value you are checking. So imagine now if you were checking if it's list of string or list of bool, right? You would have an issue because you can only check list of string and you can only check list of bool, versus list of bool. In this one it's different because how I just changed right now, I can check if it is boolean, right? So it becomes easy because boolean will always hold true even if it's all running already. And then I do the same here. If it's boolean, right, then that works. But if I was this value had like different conditions, I didn't only increment on boolean, I incremented on list boolean, then it would fail online as well, because then now I'd be possibly saying, okay, no, change to a list, right? And then I'd be naming it a list, and then I'd be saying maybe if where is the place where I'm running it here. Okay, I'm checking runtime type. That's where it increments. This is the entire usage of this. There's nowhere else. Let's see if it's anywhere else at the bottom. We're showing it, and then we're showing it. That's fine. That will always work. Okay. So now, if we're checking if it's boolean, that's not gonna work. But if you wanted to check now if it's list boolean, then you'd run something like that. So then it makes sense that this would fail online, because now you'll be checking for a list boolean and you'll be checking for a list string. Then the entire thing wouldn't run. So to show that it does run locally though, you're still able to change it. You still get an increment on this one if it's list of booleans. If it's list of strings, it doesn't change anymore. So this means that the entire thing would fail as well. Like all the conditions, I guess, would fail if you were running this and then you were running it online and then you didn't check. So that's the tip. Tip is just when using this, make sure you use you don't control. Maybe it's the iterable variables where you have an issue with them, like the list and maybe the map as well. But you have that issue where you have to like, okay, now find out how you're gonna control what type of value it is. In most cases, when you're uploading to a database and all that, you'll be using your booleans, your strings, your int, and all that stuff. So that means you'll be fine. You won't struggle with this issue, but it's a tip nonetheless. Okay. So right now I'm just building it again, but as you see, it works on this level. There was an auto update. Okay, so instead over there, the hot reload, it does by itself when you're done editing in most cases and you have any changes. Okay, so that's it for this one, and we went a bit longer, so I'm just gonna have cuts. Maybe this part will be cut out just to show exactly what we were dealing with, and then we will post it, and then that's it for this one.